Friends, welcome back to GM Philosophy. I'm the GM Philosopher. It is almost Halloween time, and that means we need some awesome new, fresh Halloween adventures to run our players through, and I've got you covered. I love Halloween adventures, and I've put together my 5 favorite ideas to run your players through this coming Halloween. In my opinion, these are fresh and awesome. So let's dive into it with idea number 1, The Village That Forgets. The genre here is psychological horror, supernatural mystery. The tone is haunting, existential, slowly unraveling dread, I should say. Every night, the villagers line up, blank-faced, bleeding, obedient. They sit in strange mechanical chairs, nestled inside a desecrated chapel. Tubes and internal runes siphon something vital from them. Magic, life force, even identity. Then they collapse, are cleaned up by unseen hands, and awaken the next day with no memory. Smiling over breakfast, but slightly worried about all of the scars they have that they don't remember. The players arrive in this eerie town however the DM wishes, by accident, through dream, by contract, or teleportation. At first, it all seems pleasant, but the villagers have odd scars, like socket marks, and none can explain how they got them. The truth is horrifying. The village is a supernatural holding space maintained by a demon who traps powerful souls to siphon their essence, ensuring they never interfere with his dominion over the material plane. And he uses this life force and magic he drains from them to fuel his malicious plans. Each night the loop resets, and the players are next in line if they don't solve the mystery by the end of the night. Let's move on to idea number 2, The Lantern Rite. Genre, ghost story, fae horror. Tone, whimsical at first, then increasingly eerie and surreal. The Lantern Rite is a traveling festival, part harvest celebration, part masquerade, part carnival. Townspeople speak of it as a yearly joy, but none remember where it was last year. Visitors wear ghost costumes. Jack-o'-lanterns line every path. Laughter and music echo on the wind. But something's off. The ghosts aren't costumed partygoers. They are actual ghosts, as it turns out. Lost souls compelled into joyful servitude by the Pumpkin King, a fae-adjacent entity who harvests joy and emotion to sustain his power. The lanterns themselves trap essence. The festival doesn't move. It repeats, reliving the last night these souls ever had. The players must decide, free the spirits and destroy the rite, or become permanent additions to the party. All right, let's move on to idea number 3, The Pale Masquerade. The genre here is social intrigue and magical horror. Tone is glamorous, seductive, increasingly dangerous, okay? An invitation arrives, sealed in violet wax. Attend the Pale Masquerade. No mask, no entry. Held in a lavish estate nestled beyond time, the ball is the epitome of elegance and indulgence, but the masks, beautiful porcelain things, do not come off. The players would get these. They're handed to them when they arrive. They're expected to put them on. They have to do this to gain entry to the masquerade. Once worn, however, and this is unbeknownst to the partygoers ahead of time, they compel reckless behavior, gluttony, lust, rage, cruelty. The hostess is Velastra, a dark elf illusionist and manipulator. She's using the masquerade to weaken her rivals, extract secrets, and gain magical leverage. Those who resist the masks must either fake it or risk standing out. Can the players expose her plot before they lose themselves to the madness of the mask? Can they possibly stop her? That is what the Pale Masquerade is about. Let's move on to adventure idea number 4, Dead Men Don't Dream. The genre here is undead mystery, mythic horror. The tone is bleak, mythic, and mournful. In a windswept coastal town, the dead begin to rise. I mean, like, someone dies, they bury them, but then they rise again. But they're not attacking. They're not acting like zombies. They rise and they whisper. They speak of a portal that appears at midnight. They're terrified of it, and they're terrified to go back into the ground. The portal, if the players investigate, ends up leading to the river Styx, but something is wrong. The ferryman lies murdered, 2 obsidian coins pressed over his eyes. Without his guidance, the souls of the dead cannot pass. A nightmare creature from the abyss has escaped into the liminal realm, feeding on the fear of the stranded dead. The players must cross the Styx, hunt the creature in the shadow echoes of memory, and restore the ferryman to his post, or let death itself back up into the world of the living. Now let's move on to my final idea, the Scarecrow King. The genre here is folk horror, rural superstition. Now, before we dive into this, I just want to let you know I have a new free ebook available. It's called the 10-Minute GM Mastery Kit. Level up your D&D game or any TTRPG with a 10-minute read. These are 10 powerful pieces of advice I've learned through 20 plus years of running games. So boom, there you go. Grab that. It's free. Link is in the description. And you can join the mailing list, which is awesome. You'll get awesome stuff from me in the email once in a while. All right, let's move on here to number 5, the Scarecrow King. The tone of this one is creeping dread, dark fairy tale, escalation into terror. It begins with ravens, hundreds of them, watching, interfering, stealing, tearing apart the harvest. The villagers are spooked, but no one will step foot into the cornfield at the center of it all. Why? Because long ago they buried a sadistic sorcerer in that field after hanging him for crimes against the townsfolk. That sorcerer's spirit, however, and this is unbeknownst to the inhabitants, has returned, inhabiting a scarecrow left to rot at the field's heart. Now, using the ravens as spies and thieves, he gathers components for a ritual that will restore his body by the full moon. If completed, his vengeance will be swift and brutal. The players must brave the cursed field, basically investigate why these ravens have been harassing the townsfolk and gathering things in a much more intelligent manner than usual. They must confront the risen horror, stop the Scarecrow King before he finishes the ritual that will let him walk and kill again. See, right now he's bound to the cornfield, but he will escape if he's allowed to come back. That is idea number 5. Let me know what you think about these adventure ideas. Let me know how you would expand on them or make them better. Once again, I'm the GM Philosopher. Thank you for coming back for another episode of GM Philosophy in the Morning. I'll see you awesome people on the next one.